At the engagement banquet, my fiancé gifted me a hairpin. He said he made it himself, spending 3 months on it, and all the guests praised his thoughtfulness. I accepted it with a smile, but noticed a small mark on the hairpin. It was my half-sister's courtesy name, Yin. At this moment, my half-sister was giving me a provocative smile. I also slightly curved my lips, and without hesitation held up the hairpin and said loudly, "This hairpin must have been given to the wrong person. There is no Yin in my name." The engagement banquet was quite grand. The Marquis of Yongchang's residence and the Vice Minister of Rights' residence were forming a marriage alliance, and most of the prominent figures in the capital had come. Amid clinking glasses, there was cheerful conversation and laughter. Mi fiancé Pei Xiaoheng wore a brocade robe standing tall like a green pine. He was smiling as he took out a brocade box from his sleeve. When opened, a begonia hairpin lay quietly inside, shimmering brilliantly, drawing admiration from the whole hall. Everyone was praising Pei Xiaoheng for his thoughtfulness, saying I was a lucky one. I also put on a smile, ready to accept this good fortune. However, Pei Xiaoheng didn't personally put the hairpin in my hair. Instead, with a turn of his wrist, he placed the brocade box on the table. "Ayuan, be careful, don't damage it." Pei Xiaoheng's action made the elders of both families frown slightly. The begonia hairpin is exquisite and beautiful. Young Master Pei has truly put in great effort. I didn't care. He breathed a sigh of relief and quickly stepped back. Naturally, he didn't have time to carefully examine what was inside the brocade box. I pretended to be captivated by it, flipping through it as if I couldn't put it down, and casually glanced at the inside of the hairpin. There was a very fresh engraving there, the tiny character Yin pierced into my eyes. "Look, sister, this begonia-style hairpin is all the rage in the capital right now. I got one. Would sister like to take a look?" 3 days ago, my half-sister Shen Yin's words echoed in my ears. And at that time, what she was wearing on her head was the exact same begonia hairpin. I raised my head, looking past Pei Xiaoheng's shoulder, and saw Shen Yin not far away. She was wearing a pink dress, and at this moment had her chin slightly raised. Those eyes, so similar to mine, were now filled with smugness and provocation. All that talk about being fashionable was fake. Showing off was the real purpose. The heartfelt gift that Pei Xiaoheng spent 3 months making by hand was nothing but a hand-me-down, and it was what she had picked through and left behind. Shen Yin even silently mouthed 3 words, "Like it." Without even guessing, I knew that Pei Xiaoheng must have personally made 2 begonia hairpins, though engraved with Yin, given to her in advance. The other given to me today as an engagement gift. But unexpectedly, Shen Yin couldn't resist stirring up trouble, swapped the 2 hairpins, and even deliberately came to show off in front of me early on. Even if I hadn't noticed the character Yin on the hairpin, seeing the identical begonia hairpin would still have tipped me off that something fishy was going on. Shen Yin dared to pull this stunt in front of everyone, simply because she was certain I would swallow my anger. But this was exactly what I wanted. Well then, let's play a bigger game. I suddenly stood up, holding the golden hairpin high in my hand, the smile on my face still graceful. "Pei Lang, this hairpin was probably given to the wrong person, wasn't it?" The chatter and laughter of the guests in the hall came to an abrupt halt, and all eyes focused on me in unison. "Sister, what do you mean by this?" "Young Master Pavsmanship is rusty. Naturally, it can't compare to the treasures from Zhenbao Pavilion that sister usually uses." Shen Yin suddenly stood up, showing a disapproving expression toward me. Pei Xiaoheng smiled at Shen Yin, but when he turned to look at me, there was a hint of melancholy. "Don't blame yourself. My craftsmanship just isn't good enough." This actually made the guests feel sorry for him. When they looked at me, there was even some reproach in their eyes. "Is that so?" I turned to Shen Yin and showed an innocent smile. "My name doesn't have the character Yin in it, you know, Sister Yin." I deliberately revealed that Yin character clear as day. The flower hall that had been filled with whispers fell instantly silent. Countless gazes darted back and forth among the 3 of us. The color drained completely from Pi Shaoheng's face in an instant. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. I just stared fixedly at the hairpin, as if seeing those damning engravings clearly for the first time. And my dear half-sister, Shen Yin, the provocation and smugness from earlier had already frozen dead on her face, replaced by terror and panic. He slowly lowered the hand holding the hairpin, my gaze calmly sweeping over everyone present, finally landing on the deathly pale Pei Shaoheng. Young Master P, this begonia hairpin engraved with the character Yin, crafted with such care, taking such a long time it should be returned to its rightful owner, given to the person who truly deserves it. I bit down hard on the words, such care and such a long time. That phrase, returned to its rightful owner, was like a boulder smashing into stagnant water, instantly stirring up 1,000 waves. The expressions of both families' elders shifted from initial shock, quickly turning ashen, then forcibly composing themselves. Nonsense. My father was the first to speak up, opening his mouth only to scold me for being ignorant. A yuan is an engagement banquet a game to you? Hurry up and apologize to young Lord Pei and the guests. It is just a hairpin. What does it matter? Just a hairpin indeed, it doesn't matter. I picked up where my father left off, nodding repeatedly, just as they were about to breathe a sigh of relief. I changed course. But 3 days ago, I saw with my own eyes that little sister Yin was wearing the exact same hairpin on her head. Does that not matter either? This question left my father completely speechless. He gasped for breath a few times before squeezing out a smile from the corner of his mouth. You see, this is all just a misunderstanding. Since things have come to this, I won't hide it from everyone anymore. He took a deep breath and looked around at all the guests as if he had made up his mind. Actually, the elders of our two families discussed this long ago. Yin'er is gentle and virtuous and shares a deep sisterly bond with Yuan'er. In the future, they'll marry into the Marquise's residence together. Like the two queens of Huang and Enfei. It would make for a beautiful tale. The Marchioness of Yongchang hurriedly stood up and walked down the steps. She said the hairpin was originally made as a pair, one for me and one for Shen Yin. It must have been mixed up by the servants, who took the wrong one. Me mother also chimed in at the right moment, her tone carrying a hint of reproach for my lack of understanding. She said I was usually busy with official duties and rarely came home. All these years it was Shen Yin who had been filial at their knees and caring toward Pi Shaoheng no. With her marrying alongside me, we could look after each other better in the Marquise's residence in the future. You should be thanking Yin'er. As soon as mother said this, Shen Yin immediately regained her composure. A flash of smugness passed through her eyes as she gently rose and gave me a graceful bow. Sister, I wouldn't dare compete with you. I only wish that in the future at the Marquise's residence, I can continue to serve by your side and share your burdens. What a lovely display of sisterly affection. I looked at her and suddenly let out a soft laugh. Do father and mother think that all these years I've been a court official for nothing? The law states that if a woman has been promised in marriage, with the marriage contract already submitted or a private agreement made, and then reneges, she shall be punished with 60 strokes of the cane. Even without a written marriage promise, accepting betrothal gifts counts the same. Shen Yin and Pei Shaoheng had no marriage contract. Yet she accepted the betrothal gifts. Wasn't that breaking the law? Me father was so furious he trembled all over and hurled a teacup right next to me. What the family hated most was that I became a female official on my own. For the sake of becoming a female official, I even proposed breaking off the engagement several times. They thought I was rebellious, not as obedient as Shen Yin. That is why the family always compared me to Shen Yin just to provoke me. But I refused to listen. A woman's virtue lies in her lack of talent. If you had stayed content in the inner chambers, would today's mess have happened? Becoming that worthless female official, showing your face in public every day. It is disgraceful. I think you've just become wild at heart. That is why you are so jealous and can't tolerate your sister. Just then, a clear and authoritative female voice rang out from the doorway. Publicly questioning the founding emperor's decisions is Minister Shen expressing dissatisfaction with the imperial family. This subject wouldn't dare. Father immediately knelt down upon seeing the newcomer, cold sweat beading on his forehead. Everyone turned back in shock and immediately knelt in obeisance. The newcomer was the current emperor's only legitimate princess, Princess Jing'an. Father still braced himself and stepped forward, attempting to dismiss the matter as the youngsters fooling around. But before he could finish speaking, the princess cut him off. Is Vice Minister Shen saying that the person I value after being humiliated like this, standing up for herself, is causing a scene? Her tone wasn't harsh yet. It made cold sweat break out on Father's forehead again. Now everyone understood that Princess Jing'an had come specifically to back me up. At this moment, an attendant behind the princess took out a bright yellow imperial edict. I knew it was what I had long awaited, the imperial edict for the conferment of a female official. I passed my evaluation with excellent character, specially promoted to 6th rank senior scribe. This edict was like a bolt from the blue. The scribe of the palace bureau manages documents and seals within the palace. No small authority. This was no simple promotion, but a clear sign of trust and cultivation. More importantly, if I chose to be a female official, I would automatically forfeit any marriage. 3 generations ago in our dynasty, there was Empress Mingkong, who single-mindedly established the female official system. At that time, it faced opposition from many, with civil officials even risking death to stop it. They argued fiercely against the empress, claiming that if female officials married and became pregnant, they would very likely die or need a long period of recovery. But the empress still overruled all objections and implemented the female official system, though she also made concessions. Official female officials must undergo a 3-year evaluation period. Any female official with a rank after evaluation cannot marry. If she marries, she automatically forfeits her position as a female official. And my choice was to be a female official for life, never to marry. Actually, I had known about the secret affair between Pi Shaoheng and Shen Yin for a long time, and was well aware of both families' elders' indulgent attitude. That is why I proposed to break off this engagement, which was arranged since childhood, time and time again. Originally, I wanted to leave both sides some dignity, but the Pi family wasn't willing to just marry a concubine's daughter, and the Shen family wasn't willing to lose such a fine marriage alliance, so they kept pestering me, insisting that I marry into their family. Since I could be headstrong enough to become a female official, how could I let them manipulate me? Therefore, before leaving the palace, I had already pledged my loyalty to the princess, and I requested that the princess personally come to announce the decree, to slap them hard in the face at this grand engagement banquet. It is just that I didn't expect Shen Yin to be so impatient, insisting on provoking me in public. But this works out well too. This way, they're the ones who did the disgraceful thing, and I remain innocent. I, Shen Yuan, accept the decree and thank His Majesty for his grace. I will not fail His Majesty and the princess's trust. Amidst my parents' shocked cries, I received the imperial decree and looked at everyone with a calm expression. After standing up, I personally inserted the hairpin into Shen Yin's hair. Go marry your young Lord Pei. I don't want him. Princess Jing'an was obviously very satisfied with my decisiveness. Only after she personally helped me up did she look at the dumbfounded Pei Shaoheng and Shen Yin. Since female official Shen has publicly declared the cancellation of the engagement and given the marriage to her half-sister Shen Yin, and with His Majesty's grace bestowed beforehand, this matter is hereby settled. Do your 2 families have any objections? Before absolute imperial power, who would dare have any objections, Marquise Yongchang and my father could only bow, indicating no objection. Very well. Princess Jing'an nodded with satisfaction and extended her hand to me. Scribe Shen, palace affairs are complicated. Return to the palace with me. I gently placed my hand in the princess's hand and straightened my back. Without looking aside, I walked out of this clamorous place. From beginning to end, I never glanced at Pei Shaoheng or Shen Yin again. Upon returning to the palace, Princess Jing'an placed me in the palace secretariat under her jurisdiction. I knew well that this was a foothold the princess gave me, but also a test. The The princess currently enjoyed great imperial favor, but the power struggle with several adult princes and the imperial clan had also entered a critical period. She needed more reliable and sharp blades to cut through thorns and thistles for her. I gathered my scattered thoughts and immersed myself in the complicated documents and paperwork. As for the tasks, the princess assigned some tedious, some sensitive, and some requiring building connections. I knew well this was a test for me. When I presented reports that were clearly organized with well-defined solutions to the princess, the appreciation in her eyes deepened day by day. "Shen Yuan, you are more capable than I expected." She set down the report, her tone carrying a hint of barely perceptible gratification. "It is the opportunity your highness gave me." I knew clearly that doing all this was not only helping the princess, but also helping myself. Only by demonstrating irreplaceable ability can one stand firm in the vortex of power, and the higher I climb, the less the likes of the Yongcheng Marquis Manor will dare to touch me. Fighting power with power is the most effective path to self-preservation and counterattack. I thought the matter at the engagement banquet would come to an end. At least for a while, the Yongcheng Marquis Manor and the Shen family wouldn't cause me trouble. However, I underestimated their ability to twist the truth. In just half a month, the rumors in the capital quietly shifted direction. From somewhere, rumors started that I, Shen Yuan, only cared about power and wealth, that I was a cold-hearted person, that I had long decided to pursue a high position as a female official and never marry. Yet I deliberately kept the Yongcheng Marquis's heir on the hook, hoping to secure a fallback for myself. Only when the examination was passed did I deliberately make a fuss at the engagement banquet, picking a fight to break off the engagement. While the Yongcheng Marquis Manor and the Vice Minister of Rights' Manor had done their utmost, for the sake of my future, they were even willing to let my gentle and lovely half-sister Shen Yin fulfill the marriage contract in my place, bearing the grievance. The rumors spread with convincing detail, painting me as an ungrateful, ambitious villainess. While Pei Xiaoheng and Shen Yin became the pitiful ones who endured humiliation and kept the bigger picture in mind, some low-class storytellers even made veiled insinuations about how I curried favor in the palace. How skilled my methods were to have won the princess's favor. They're trying to dump all the dirty water on you and completely ruin your reputation. Inside the princess's manor, a trusted maidservant reported the street rumors with indignation. Princess Jingen's expression was cold and stern, her fingertips lightly tapping the rosewood tabletop. This princess underestimated them. This matter arose because this princess stood up for you. They don't dare openly deal with this princess, so they're using you as a scapegoat. This princess will vent this anger for you. A fierce glint flashed in her eyes. This princess wants to see whether their mouths are tougher, or this princess's blade is faster. Your Highness. I stepped forward and bowed in greeting, my tone calm yet firm. This subject is grateful for your Highness's protective intentions, but please allow this subject to handle this matter personally. The princess raised an eyebrow at me. Oh, what do you intend to do? Rumors are like weeds, they can't be cut down or burned away completely. Only by uprooting them entirely can future troubles be eliminated forever. Since they dared to twist black and white, they're simply relying on my low status and inability to refute. If that is the case, I'll just smash everything they're relying on, one by one. As it happens, using the princess's manor's influence these past days, I've uncovered some things. I raised my head, my gaze meeting the princess's. This subject requests permission to leave the capital for an inspection tour. On the surface, it is to audit the Jiangnan textile accounts for your Highness. In secret, this subject will personally go to Jingzhou to investigate the Marquis of Yongcheng's household's shady dealings. Some evidence hidden deep in the mud requires someone to dig it out personally. I told Princess Jingen my plan. The Yongcheng Marquis Manor has been cultivating connections in officialdom for years. I don't believe they're truly clean. As long as I can get any dirt on them, I can tear off a chunk of flesh from them. I raised my head, my gaze resolute. For the public good. Your Highness is in need of capable people. If we can obtain solid leverage over the noble families, It would benefit the greater situation. For personal reasons, this subject has suffered great humiliation. If this grudge is not avenged, my heart will never be at peace. Moreover, who is to say the Yongchang Marquis manor won't come after me someday? So this subject has decided to strike first. After a long moment, the princess's lips curved slightly, revealing a knowing smile. You are quite candid. Go then, someone will contact you. You may freely use the Princess Manor's resources. Above, the princess picked up the silver scissors beside her. If you are going to investigate, do it clean and swift. Either don't act, but if you do, with a snip, her hand rose and fell, cutting the moth that flew into the flame. Make sure to strike true and eliminate future troubles once and for all. This subject understands. 3 days later, I traveled light and prepared to leave the capital on assignment. Yet on the main street, I unexpectedly ran into Pi Shaoheng and Shen Yin. They had a group of servants following behind them, looking quite impressive. Shen Yin put on a pitiful appearance, but those eyes looking at me were full of provocation. Pei Shaoheng, on the other hand, looked utterly heartbroken and stepped forward to block my path. Yuan, why must you be so stubborn and refuse to see reason? For the sake of that illusory power, you abandoned your family and me. But what is the result? Now aren't you leaving the capital in disgrace? Without the support of the Pi and Shen families, the princess couldn't wait to drive you away. After all this, can't you still wake up? What the hell is Pi Shaoheng going on about now? They think I am leaving the city in disguise because I've been cast aside by the princess and have no choice but to leave the capital. What kind of nonsense is this? Just as I was about to curse them out, Shen Yin also spoke up in her soft, delicate voice. Sister, even if you don't care about your past feelings with the heir Pei, you should at least think of father and mother. Ever since you left home, father and mother have been worried sick about you day and night. They're about to fall ill. She looked frail, but her tearful voice carried clearly all around. Sister, giving up marriage for life just to be a lowly official, how can father and mother ever hold their heads up because of you? If you are willing to turn back and resign from that court lady position early, I am willing to give the position of legal wife back to you. I only beg that sister doesn't keep making mistake after mistake and tarnish our family's reputation. After saying that, she actually reached out to grab my sleeve, as if I were some unreasonable wretch who needed her to make sacrifices to reform me. Watching the two of them putting on this shameless act together, I only felt it was laughable. Move. My voice was ice cold, but Pei Shaoheng pushed his luck, trying to grab my wrist. Yuan, stop being so stubborn. Come back with us. I'll beg father and mother to forgive you. His words came to an abrupt halt, because I had already reached back and drawn the horsewhip hanging beside the saddle. It was a gift from the princess, tanned from rhinoceros hide, exceptionally tough. Crack! A crisp yet vicious crack of the whip tore through the air. The whip struck directly on the back of Pei Shaoheng's hand. His pretentious act was even more disgusting than Shen Yin's. What are you doing? Shen Yin couldn't be bothered to play pitiful anymore and immediately lunged forward, trying to drag me off the horse. Did you think this official would let you off? Another lash. It struck precisely on Shen Yin's veiled face. The force was so great it made her let out a miserable scream. The veil split apart as she staggered and fell to the ground. A gruesome, bloody gash ran from her temple down to her jaw. Flesh torn open. A horrifying sight. The entire street fell into instant dead silence. Everyone was stunned by this sudden lash. Shen Yin clutched her face, letting out shrill wails, crimson blood seeping through the gaps between her fingers. Pei Shaoheng was both shocked and furious, pointing at me. You, how dare you? I held the blood-stained long whip, looking down at them from above, each word cold as ice. Obstructing official duties, not giving you 20 strokes of the cane, is already letting you off easy. Pei Shaoheng, take your arrogant, rude, and vicious-hearted fiancé and get lost. If you dare block my path again, or spout filthy words. My gaze swept over the two of them, carrying unconcealed killing intent. Next time this whip won't just be hitting your face. Having said that, I ignored their shock, fear, and resentment, and mounted my horse. The steed neighed and carried me away in a cloud of dust. The pain of disfigurement was merely interest. The real reckoning had only just begun. 3 months later, there was a joyous occasion in the capital. The Yongchang Marquis Manor and the Shen family finally joined in marriage. The wedding between young Master Pei Xiaoheng and second Miss Shen Yin was held lavishly and with great fanfare to prove to everyone that they were a match made in heaven. Both families sent out wedding invitations far and wide, sincerely inviting guests, 10 miles of red dowry gongs and drums resounding. In the wedding hall, the newlyweds were performing the 3 bows ceremony. Husband and wife bow to each other. The master of ceremonies' high-pitched voice echoed through the wedding hall. The guests in the hall laughed, some genuinely, some not, offering words of congratulation. Just as the newlyweds were about to complete their bow and finish the ceremony, wait, a discordant voice shattered the festive atmosphere. Everyone turned around in astonishment. I was seen wearing the 6th-rank female official's palace attire of the Shandong Bureau's record keeper, walking steadily into the courtyard. Behind me followed a squad of guards in fitted uniforms with long sabers at their waists. In an instant, everyone's eyes were fixed on me. Why is she here? Could it be she regrets it and came to snatch the groom? Wearing official robes to snatch the groom, that doesn't look like it. Shen Yin suddenly lifted her red veil. She exchanged a glance with Pei Xiaoheng, then both looked at me simultaneously, their faces showing identical shock. After her initial astonishment, a flash of smugness and malice quickly passed through Shen Yin's eyes. She thought I had finally regretted it and came to yield and admit defeat. She even stepped forward and spoke in a condescending tone. "Sister, have you finally come to your senses? Today is my wedding day with the young lord. Barging in like this is quite improper." However, Shen Yin raised her hand, covering her mouth as she made her demand. She wanted me to apologize in front of all the guests and admit that I had slandered Pei Xiaoheng and her reputation. Then perhaps she could ask Pei Xiaoheng to grant me a position as a concubine. That way, I would have someone to rely on in the future and wouldn't be bullied. Her words drew low snickers from some of the guests. The gazes directed at me were full of pity and contempt. Pei Xiaoheng also furrowed his brows, his tone carrying impatience and a hint of hidden superiority. "Shen Yuan, Yinner is being generous by giving you this chance. I can let go of what happened in the past, but if you keep making a scene, don't blame me for not honoring our old feelings." I watched them sing in harmony, as if watching an absurd farce. I slightly curled my lips, revealing a cold smile. Concubine, old feelings? I slowly stepped forward, my gaze sweeping over them, as if looking at 2 jumping clowns. "You too are thinking too highly of yourselves." I ignored their instantly frozen expressions and turned to address the guests in the hall. "This official came here today not for personal grudges, but to handle a case by imperial decree." As soon as I finished speaking, an official behind me stepped forward and unrolled a bright yellow imperial edict. The Pei clan of Yongchang Marquis Manor colluded with officials in Jingzhou, committed treason, smuggled military equipment, and illegal salt to the Rongdi tribes in the northwest. The evidence is irrefutable, disregarding national law, shaking the foundation of the nation, hereby strip the title of Yongchang Marquis, confiscate all family assets. All persons involved shall be taken to the imperial prison to await trial and sentencing. So it is decreed. As soon as the imperial edict was read, the entire hall fell into dead silence. The festive atmosphere from moments ago vanished in an instant, replaced by boundless fear and shock. No, impossible. The Yongchang Marquis's face turned deathly pale as he staggered backward. Pei Xiaoheng was even more thunderstruck, staring at me in disbelief. "Shen Yuan, you are talking nonsense. You are framing us." The smugness on Shen Yin's face instantly faded, leaving only paleness and terror as she let out a shrill scream. "It is you. It must be you, you wicked woman who framed us." The people from Yongchang Marquis Manor also clung to this like a lifeline, desperately shifting the blame onto me. They even threatened to see His Majesty to clear their grievances. Some people who didn't know the truth also echoed them. really looking like they were trying to twist right and wrong. I couldn't be bothered to waste my breath on them. I directly presented the key account books seized from the smuggling gang's hideout in Jingzhou along with some of the confiscated correspondence as evidence, throwing them on the ground. Each one could prove these were the good deeds of his Yongchang Marquis Manor. This was the result of my 3 months away from the capital on official business. The account books are here, the records of dealings between Yongchang Marquis Manor and the Northwestern Rongdi, the details of how they split the spoils, every single transaction, every single deal, crystal clear, with witnesses and evidence all present. How dare you deny it? My gaze was sharp as a blade, sweeping over the ashen-faced marquis and marchioness of Yongchang and Pei Shaoheng, finally landing on Shen Yin, who was trembling all over and could barely stand. Shen Yin, you married into the Marquis Manor today, so you are now a woman of the PC family. This crime of treason, you'll bear it together with them. I was waiting at the entrance, deliberately waiting until the ceremony was completed before entering. Only when Shen Yin becomes the Shizi's consort she has been longing for, can I pull her down from the peak and throw her into the abyss. I abruptly waved my hand. Guards arrest the entire PA family, along with this newly wedded Shizi's consort. Yes. The officials behind me immediately stepped forward, mercilessly clamping shackles onto the struggling and wailing Marquis Zhongchang and the others. Pei Shaoheng had his arms twisted behind his back by the officials, yet still roared at me with defiance. Shen Yuan, how ruthless you are. The once graceful and dignified marchioness now had disheveled hair, looking completely deranged, pointing at my nose and cursing viciously. Shen Yuan, may you die a horrible death. I won't let you go even as a ghost. I walked up to them, looking down at their wretched appearances from above. When you used the blood-stained money from smuggling to pave this so-called splendid future, did you ever think about the border soldiers who died in vain because of inferior weapons? Did you ever think about the common people suffering from exorbitantly priced illicit salt? As for dying a horrible death, I smiled lightly, filled with endless mockery. You'd better worry about yourselves first, whether you can keep your bodies intact on the execution ground. Take them away. Amidst the crying and begging for mercy and the terrified gazes of the guests, the people of the Yongchang Marquis Manor were dragged out of the wedding hall like dead dogs. And I stepped on the falling red silk and walked out of the manor. The smuggling case of the Yongchang Marquis Manor had irrefutable evidence shaking the entire court. The principal offender, Marquis Yongchang, along with several core family members who knew and participated, were sentenced to immediate execution after a joint trial by the 3 judicial offices. This also implicated many officials, both big and small. On the day of autumn executions, the bloodstains at the marketplace were washed for 3 whole days. Only then did that glaring red barely fade. As for Pi Shaoheng, investigation confirmed that, although he didn't directly participate in the smuggling, he was aware of the family's abnormal sources of wealth, yet did nothing to stop it. Moreover, he enjoyed the profits from it. According to the law of collective punishment, he was sentenced to exile for 3,000 lihi, was banished to the bitter cold of the northern frontier for hard labor, never to be pardoned for life. The once graceful and elegant heir of Yongchang Marquis had instantly become a disheveled prisoner wearing heavy shackles. Before departure, the officers escorting prisoners customarily allowed family members or interested parties to come and make arrangements. This was for final farewells, but in reality it was also to find a way out for some criminal slaves. If a wealthy household was willing to pay to buy them, they could be spared the hardship of exile and become private slaves instead. Though the status was lowly, at least one could preserve their life. At least they wouldn't have to worry about dying from bad luck on the exile road. Pei Shaoheng wore shackles, standing among a group of prisoners looking haggard with hollow eyes. He had never imagined he would end up like this one day. But the Yongchang Marquis Manor had already fallen, and the families they used to associate with wouldn't want to be tainted by such bad luck. No one would come to buy him. Just then, a pudgy, middle-aged man dressed in silk, guided by a servant, strolled over leisurely. His gaze swept through the prisoners and finally landed on Shen Yin, who was standing next to Pei Xiaoheng. Shen Yin was also wearing prisoner's clothes, her hair disheveled. The whip scar on her face looked even more hideous due to the lack of care. Months of imprisonment had worn away all her pride, leaving only fear of the future. I knew what she was thinking. Exile and hard labor would be worse than death. The fat man stroked his chin, looked Shen Yin over a few times, and clicked his tongue. Her looks are ruined, but she seems capable of working. Buying her to grind rice at the estate would do. Upon hearing this, Shen Yin clutched at it like a lifeline and threw herself against the bars. She couldn't care less that Pei Xiaoheng was right beside her and hurriedly spoke up. "Sir, buy me. Buy me. I can do anything: laundry, cooking, grinding, farming, and also," she bit her lip, her gaze softening. "Please buy me. I don't want to be exiled." Pei Xiaoheng looked at Shen Yin in disbelief, his voice hoarse. "Yin are you?" But Shen Yin didn't even glance at him, only fawning and begging the fat man. "Master, take me with you. I am more useful than livestock." The fat man seemed very pleased with her sensibility, let out a laugh, and claimed Shen Yin from the officials. The transaction was quickly completed. Shen Yin couldn't wait to remove her shackles. As if fleeing from a plague, she didn't look back at Pei Xiaoheng even once, just followed closely behind the fat man, even with a hint of relief at having survived a disaster. Pei Xiaoheng watched helplessly as the woman he once loved deeply, the one he had betrayed his engagement for, abandoned him so easily at the last moment, clinging to such a despicable man, just to avoid sharing hardships with him. PFFT, overcome with rage, a mouthful of fresh blood suddenly spurted from Pei Xiaoheng's mouth. His vision went black, and he collapsed stiffly onto the filthy ground. As for Shen Yin, she only glanced back once, then followed her new master without looking back. All of this fell into my eyes. Shen Yin probably didn't know that this buyer was actually someone I had secretly arranged. I knew Shen Yin's nature all too well. She wouldn't choose to suffer hardships with Pei Xiaoheng. As long as someone saved her from the exile's hell, she would agree no matter who it was. How could I possibly let her find someone to rely on that easily? What awaited Shen Yin would be the hardest and most exhausting work at the most remote farmstead under my name. She would enjoy a slave's life with no freedom, bullied by others, unable to live, yet unable to die. In contrast to the Pi and Shen families, the court rewarded me for cracking such a major case, seizing a huge amount of stolen money, and purging the corrupt vermin. I had rendered the greatest service. His Majesty was greatly pleased and specially decreed to promote me to the 5th rank position of CG in the Shanggong Bureau. With real power in hand, I managed the palace documents, seals, and part of personnel assignments. I could establish my own residence independently, enjoying the same salary and ceremonial treatment as officials of the same rank. This meant that I now had a mansion, subordinate officials, and power independent of my family that truly belonged to me. As for my father, he became much more attentive to me at this time, because of the Yongchang Marquis Manor incident. Although the Shen family didn't participate, they were still implicated. My father was directly demoted by 3 ranks and sent to Lingnan as an exiled official. The journey was long with mountains and rivers in between, and Lingnan was such a barbaric place. It was called demotion, but it was no different from exile. My father was nearly 50 years old. How could he endure such torment? Yet he had nowhere to turn for help, and finally remembered me, whom he used to look down upon. Several times he brought my mother to my door seeking an audience, wanting to use blood ties to ask for my help, but I refused to see them every time. A few days later, my father still set off, taking my mother with him, together heading to Lingnan. This journey across mountains and rivers, whether they could even arrive alive, was uncertain. On the day of departure, I stood on the city wall, watching them leave with my own eyes. A breath of pent-up frustration slowly exhaled from my heart. In this life, family bonds were thin, but I will never regret it. Epilogue: this day. My superior, a senior 3rd-rank female official with deep qualifications, invited me to walk with her after work, smiling. Scribe Shen has rendered great service. Today, I'll take you to a nice place to relax and unwind." I was somewhat puzzled following her onto a carriage, arriving before an elegant and exquisite pavilion. The pavilion's plaque bore the words Qingfeng Pavilion, appearing to be a place for literati gatherings. But after entering, I discovered that those serving inside were all handsome young men with varied temperaments. Some played the chin, some brewed tea, some chatted and laughed. Upon seeing us, they all bowed respectfully, their gazes docile, and a man of remarkable beauty who came down from upstairs walked directly to my senior's side. "It has been a while." My senior also very naturally slipped her hand into his sleeve. Though nothing could be seen beneath the sleeve, the obvious upward movement was plain to see. Instantly, I understood what kind of place this was. This is a brothel established exclusively for powerful female officials and noble ladies of the Imperial clan, only with the roles reversed. Seeing me in a daze, my senior covered her lips and chuckled softly, whispering, "Rules are dead, but people are alive. We female officials serve the country, exhausting our minds and bodies. Can't we even have a bit of worldly pleasure? Don't worry, the men here all know the rules, and their bodies are clean. That contraceptive soup is prepared for them." My senior winked at me and said with a smile. Her tone carried a hint of teasing and matter-of-factness. "We have power and money, we just want some fun and satisfaction." "Do we still need to bear children and manage households for them? It is purely for enjoyment." My heart trembled, as if some shackles had snapped with a crack. So, stepping out of the confines of the inner courtyard, the world could actually be this vast. A woman's life, besides depending on men, fighting for favor, and serving husbands and raising children, could also possess power, career, and even pleasure that purely belongs to oneself without any responsibility. Looking at those handsome men in the pavilion, carefully cultivated solely to please women, and my senior's composed manner as she enjoyed herself, after a moment of daze, I felt relieved. A pleased smile also curled at the corner of my lips. Senior is right. I stepped forward, walking confidently into this new world that belonged to them, and would soon belong to me. Power I want, freedom I want, and the pleasures of this world I want them too. Only then would it be worth breaking free from my cage and walking this path of a female official where thorns and glory coexist.